I'm going to read one of my favorite books to you today, and it's entitled When I Grow Up. And you'll see what it's about in just a minute, but it centers on opportunities in life. And the exciting thing that I think about for your age student is that you can do anything you want to in this world. And it starts right here with all the wonderful opportunities at Stockton Junior High School. So sit back and relax. And I will say this too, I've not only read this book to junior high students, I've read it to high school students, I've read it to college students, and I've read it to adults because it really impacts all of us. It's entitled, When I Grow Up. I waited so long for the hours to pass, but soon it was noon there in Mrs. Krupp's class. And Thursday at noon, as I'm sure you know well, is the time of the week when we do show and tell. And this week, the subject so special to me was when I grow up, what am I going to be? That's something I'd really been thinking about, and I just couldn't wait to let all those thoughts out. So when Mrs. Krupp said, "Who's ready to share?" you can guess who was there with his hand in the air. I raised both my hands just as high as they go, and I bounced up and down, and then, what do you know? Well, Mrs. Krupp picked me, yes, me, to go first. Oh, I was so happy I thought I would burst. I proudly stood up and began my oration concerning my choice of a future vocation. Esteemed friends and colleagues, and dear Mrs. Krupp, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. Why, I'll be the greatest chef you've ever seen. The world will go crazy with my hot cuisine. I'll tantalize taste buds with my rigatoni, sauteed with black truffles and pickled bologna. Surrounded by kumquats and candied pig's feet, toppled with shrimp-flavored lollipops, bon appetit. My walls will be filled with awards that I've gotten, my toast on a stick and my Twinkies en gratin. My kitchen will be the most famous in France, so make reservations 12 years in advance. There's no doubt about it, I'm certain you'll see a world-renowned chef is what I'm gonna be. That's very nice, Billy. Sweet, Mrs. Krupp said. Who wants to be next? Maybe Susie or Fred. I said, hold the phone now, I haven't departed. Hang on to your seats because I'm just getting started. See, maybe instead I could be a snail trainer. Man, that would be awesome. Why, that's a no-brainer. I'll teach all my snails to do really neat tricks. They'll play dead roll over and even fetch sticks. Of course, all the sticks will come back 2 years later, but working with snails, I mean, what could be greater? They'll do any stunt that I like. Holy moly, I'll train them to pedal a bike really slowly. Then jump, I mean ooze through a huge ring of fire and crawl at snail's pace across a high wire. Then finish by writing my name with their trails. That's right, I'll be Billy, the master of snails. Or else I'll be a lathe operator who makes hydraulic torque wrench calibrator, which fine-tunes the wrenches that's specifically made to retighten the nuts on the lateral blade that's directly beneath the main radial sockets inside cooling system on X-14 rockets. And since this profession's as cool as can be, well, who would be better at it than me? Say, here's an idea, perhaps just for laughs, I might make my living milking giraffes. It's oh so cliche to get milk from a cow, and I bet all those cows need a break anyhow. Imagine my milking way up in the air. I'd use a tall ladder instead of a chair. What? Milking giraffes, Mrs. Krupp said? Oh, please. I countered, how else could we make giraffe cheese? Now, don't interrupt me. I'm not really through yet. There's lots of stuff that I'm planning to do yet. Because maybe I'll be a gorilla masseuse, or an artist who sculptures out of chocolate mousse, or a rodeo clown, or a movie director, or maybe a professional pickle inspector, or a big sumo wrestler, or a hedge fund investor, or a smelly pit-sniffing deodorant tester. Or I'll be an expert on nuclear fission, or else a foot model, or a friendly mortician, or a waiter, or a skater, or a master debater, or a dinosaur dusting museum creator, or a TV repairman, or sidewalk sign waver, or a part-time assistant tarantula shaver. And that's about when Mrs. Krupp said, now, Billy, please make up your mind. This is getting quite silly. Which one of those things are you going to choose? I shuffled around and I looked at my shoes. And finally I said, my great-grandfather Bob's been a whole lot of things, had a whole lot of jobs. A butcher, a barber, a bellman, a bouncer, a telephone psychic, a bingo announcer. You know what? He just turned 103 and he's still not quite sure what he wants to be. See, I'm only 8 now, so frankly, I'm hoping you'll cut me some slack if I leave some options open. Let's just wait and find out what my future brings. Hey, I might have time to do all of those things. And then the bell rang and we all went to lunch, and I was sipping my pineapple punch. I pondered professions that I'd like to enter, like brave firefighter or crazy inventor. Or maybe, just maybe now when I grow up, I can be a great teacher like dear Mrs. Krupp. That was When I Grew Up by Al Yankovic, and I hope it talked to you about opportunities you can experience in your life. And again, take advantage of all the wonderful opportunities here that are provided to you, and you can truly be whatever you want to be in life.